This is a tale of greed and fear. It's a classic story of good versus evil, but this time we replace people with emotions. The year was 2017, and the world was on the cusp of a technological revolution. A young man named Alex had heard whispers of a new digital currency called Bitcoin and its potential to change the world. With prices skyrocketing, he was intrigued and curious about this new asset class. So he did what any sensible person would do. He put his trust in Google, typed in where to buy Bitcoin, and instantly found himself on a reputable exchange. He made his first purchase of zero point 0.1 Bitcoin for $30, and then waited patiently for the value to rise. For a few weeks, everything went according to plan. His zero point 0.1 Bitcoin was now worth over $100, and he was on cloud nine. But then something unexpected happened. The value of Bitcoin began to fall. By January 2018, his zero point 0.1 Bitcoin was back to just $40, and he panicked. Selling immediately, he watched helplessly as the price continued to drop until it was barely $30. Just when he thought it couldn't get any worse, he saw a notification from his exchange that Bitcoin had dropped below $6,000. This was terrible news. He had bought in at almost $20,000, and so far he had lost two-thirds of his money. What had he gotten himself into? Why did the price keep dropping? And was there a way out of this mess? As days turned into weeks, his zero point 0.1 Bitcoin continued to lose value, and he became increasingly desperate for answers. It wasn't until one evening when he stumbled across an article explaining the crypto fear and greed index that things started to make sense. This index is calculated based on several factors, including recent price action, volatility, momentum, market trends, social media sentiment, and Google Trends. Each factor is given a score from 0 to 100, and those scores are then averaged together to produce a single number between 0 and 100, which represents the current level of greed or fear in the market. When the index is high, it means that people are greedy and the market could be heading for a bubble. When the index is low, it means that people are fearful and the market could be heading for a crash. He looked at the chart and realized that the price of Bitcoin had been dropping since the summer of 2017, when the greed in the market was at an all-time high. In October 2017, the index had already fallen below 50, and by January 2018, it was in the 30s. This explained why the price of Bitcoin had been dropping so much. There was a lot of fear in the market. The more he read about the index, the more he realized that it could help him to make better investment decisions. If the index was high, then maybe he should take some profits. But if the index was low, then maybe he should hold on tight and wait for the market to recover. Armed with this new knowledge, he decided to buy some more Bitcoin at the current price and hold on tight. In the following months, the value of his investment slowly began to recover. By June 2019, it was back to where it had been before the crash. He was so grateful that he had held on tight and not panicked sold. But this was only the beginning of his journey into the world of cryptocurrencies. In the following years, he witnessed both extreme greed and extreme fear in the market. Every time the price of Bitcoin hit a new all-time high, the greed index soared above 90. And every time the price crashed, the fear index plummeted to the 20s and 30s. But he remained calm and collected throughout these wild swings because he knew that they were normal for a market that was still in its early stages. In April 2021, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high of almost $70,000, and his zero point 0.1 Bitcoin was worth over $700,000. He was so happy that he had held on to his investment all those years. But just a few months later, the price of Bitcoin began to fall again. By December 2021, it was back to just $40,000. Once again, he felt the familiar feeling of fear and uncertainty. Was this the end of the bull market? Would the price of Bitcoin ever recover? But as he looked at the crypto fear and greed index, he noticed something different. This time, the index wasn't in the 30s or 20s. It was hovering around 50. This meant that the market was balanced between greed and fear. He knew that this was just a normal part of the cycle and that the price of Bitcoin would eventually recover. But he also knew that he needed to be prepared for anything. So he decided to take some profits and set a stop loss on the rest of his investment. This way, if the price of Bitcoin continued to fall, he would at least be able to limit his losses. In the following months, the price of Bitcoin did indeed continue to fall. It dropped to just $20,000 by June 2022. But thanks to his stop loss, he had managed to avoid a total disaster. As he watched the price of Bitcoin bottom out, he knew that it was only a matter of time before it recovered. After all, this was just another normal cycle in the life of a cryptocurrency. And sure enough, by December 2022, the price of Bitcoin had rebounded to $18,000. He was so grateful that he had taken his profits when he did, and that he had set a stop loss. He knew that this was just another example of the volatility that came with investing in cryptocurrencies. But despite all the ups and downs, he had learned one very important lesson. No matter how greedy or fearful he felt, he needed to stay calm and focus on the long term. In the end, his ability to control his emotions would determine whether he was a successful investor or not. After a while, he received a message from an unknown number. Curious, he decided to answer it. On the other side of the line was a mysterious man who introduced himself as a mentor. The mentor explained that he had been watching Alex trade and was impressed by his resilience and discipline. He offered to become Alex's mentor and guide him through the world of cryptocurrencies. Alex accepted the offer and began learning from his mentor. The mentor taught him about the history of cryptocurrencies, the technology behind them, and the best practices for trading and investing. He also shared his own experiences and stories, which helped Alex to learn even faster. Under the guidance of his mentor, Alex became a more successful trader and investor. He learned how to manage his emotions, take profits, and set stop losses. He also learned how to research and invest in new projects. Over time, Alex and his mentor became close friends. They would often go on trading trips together and attend industry events. Alex credits his mentor for helping him to become successful in the world of cryptocurrencies, and he continues to learn from him to this day. One evening, as Alex and his mentor were having dinner, the mentor turned to him and said, "You know, Alex, I haven't revealed my identity to you yet." Alex was surprised. He had been talking to his mentor for months, but didn't know who he was. The mentor smiled and said, "I am your past self." Alex was confused, but the mentor continued, "I am you from the future. You inspired me to become a better trader and investor." Alex was stunned. He realized that his actions had created a ripple effect that had changed the future. He had become the mentor he had always needed. Feeling inspired, Alex resolved to become the best version of himself possible. He knew that he had the power to create his own future, and he was excited to see what the future held. With renewed determination, Alex continued to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies. He used the lessons he had learned from his mentor to make smart decisions and avoid emotional trading. He also began to share his knowledge with others, helping them to understand the world of cryptocurrencies and teaching them how to invest. As the years went by, Alex became a respected member of the cryptocurrency community. He was known for his calm and disciplined approach to trading and his ability to stay focused despite market volatility. He never forgot the lessons he had learned from his mentor, and he carried them with him throughout his career. One day, Alex received an email from someone he didn't recognize. The sender introduced himself as a mentee and explained that he had been following Alex's trading journey and was inspired by his success. The mentee asked if he could become Alex's mentee and receive guidance on how to improve his own trading skills. Alex was happy to help and agreed to become the mentee's mentor. As the mentee began to learn from Alex, he realized that he was repeating the same lessons his own mentor had taught him. It was a full circle moment that showed how the lessons of the past had shaped his future. Alex knew that the cycle would continue and that he was part of a larger community of traders and investors who were all working to better themselves. As he looked back on his journey, Alex was filled with gratitude. He thanked his mentor for guiding him to success and resolved to continue passing on the lessons he had learned to the next generation of traders. He knew that the future of cryptocurrencies was bright, and he was excited to be a part of it.